Good morning, friends. Welcome back to Astrology Today and Tarot with Melrose. This is the Tarot portion and the second half of my daily astrology post, the first half of which you can find on my other channel, Astrology Today with Melrose. The idea behind this second post is to provide some further insight intuitively into today's energies based on the aspects and a little bit of what Tarot has to say. First, I will discuss the tarot card that sits on the left-hand side of the page, and then I will do a quick rundown of the day's astrology before I throw a random card that will give us something more to think about. So let's get into it. The card that sits on the side of the page has changed today, friends. Yesterday it was the Nine of Swords, and today it is the Ten of Swords. So, Ten of Swords astrologically is represented as the third decan, or the third 10 days of the sun's transit through Gemini. There are 30 days in every transit, so 3 decans or 3 10-day portions, and there is a tarot card for every decan on the wheel of the year. The sign Gemini is about dispersing energy. It's sort of like the end of the air signs. It is the last one, is of the 3 air signs, and it's mutable, so it disperses, it spreads energy, and the energy it spreads is data, information, communication. Gemini is very much about communication, how we use our thoughts and words, how we make our plans, right? And that's what swords are about in Tarot. They're about the thoughts, words, and communications and how we use them. And in the Ten of Swords, you see, these last few have been a little bit difficult to talk about because swords it has a sort of negative looking bent to it. And it's because, there are more warnings in how we can use our thoughts. There are a lot of warnings regarding how we can use our thoughts and words against ourselves and others. So this is a moment. You see this person is basically laying flat face down. They have red clothes on, but I don't see any actual blood. But there are 10 swords poking out of their backs, okay? So probably didn't put them there themselves, probably got them from someone else. A little bit of a Caesar moment, right, at Tu Brute. So this is a feeling of betrayal, of being stabbed in the back, of being defeated, and not in a physical way, but in a way that has to do with how we think about ourselves and how other people think about us and see us, and how we talk about ourselves and what other people say when they're talking about us, okay? So things can come up like this, and they're kind of, even better when it's like an unexpected disaster, right? That's sort of swift and unavoidable, which, you'd kind of have to sneak up on somebody to stab them in the back that many times. So this is just something that you weren't even looking out for, you weren't even aware of, but it may come up. There may come a time in our lives when it comes up that we are feeling betrayed, and we are feeling as though the world has come against us, and we're just going to lay here with these knives in our back for a while because, misery. And it's not only that we feel miserable, but that we feel dead, right? And that's a social thing, like dead in the eyes of culture, dead in the eyes of our community, dead in the eyes of our friends or our family, because of the way people have spoken to us or used their plans and their words, their thoughts against us. This really represents something that is beyond your control, okay? And it can leave you feeling somewhat victimized. And, if somebody has come after you in this way and really stabbed you in the back, then yeah, you're a victim of that. You can acknowledge that you've got a loss here, and it's really a loss of like self-confidence, self-esteem, an ability to think of yourself in a good way because of the way everybody else is thinking about you. Sometimes, when everybody that you encounter kind of treats you like you're something, that like there's something very wrong with you, then you're going to start to take that on as a truth for yourself, that there must be something very wrong with me because other people seem to think so. So the good news is that this also represents an end, okay? The end of a cycle. Now you know who your friends are. now you know who you cannot trust, right? So, you might actually lose a whole group of people, and those are people that you don't need. I mean, full stop. Whether that's your family, a friend group, your work group, whatever your cohort is, your hobby cohort, or whatever activism cohort. If you are dead to them, then you are dead to them, and they are dead to you. Okay, so end of a cycle. Something comes to an abrupt end, and it feels terrible. It feels terrible. It's really hard to have good self-confidence when somebody has operated behind your back to make you miserable, right? That it's really hard to maintain an emotional equilibrium, and it's really easy to just become very depressed and to lay down and to hide out, right? That is the impulse. And if you are very wounded by something like this, if you are feeling very hurt and not clear on what it is that you can do to come back to feeling as happy and whole and confident as you felt before this betrayal, then it's important and valid to acknowledge that loss, acknowledge the loss of that whole part of your life, okay? Acknowledge the loss of whatever you lost with that whole part of your life. And, take a few days to take a little bit of time to nurse your wounds. Take a little bit of time to, roll onto your side and start pulling those knives out of your back, right? Give yourself some time to mend so that when you go out again, when you face people again, you have done some healing already. You're not just constantly in need of kindness and comfort and reassurance in a world where you don't know that you can rely on it, right? You've got to, at this moment, this is a time to rely on yourself. So, end of a cycle, something has come to an end. The good news is, after something comes to an end, we have a fresh beginning, right? So, mental health especially, because again, swords are about our thoughts, plans, and communications, right? Our mental health especially has to be taken care of at a time like this, when somebody has betrayed us, when we are feeling terrible about the way somebody acted, or the way we have been treated, or if we feel terrible about something we got into that in turn sort of spit us out in an unceremonious way. It's important to attend, again, just like with the Eight of Swords and the Nine of Swords, our mental wellness. Don't get wrapped around, try not to let our brain get wrapped around the axle of the negative stuff that happened, into that negative loop. Try not to overanalyze what has happened, because if it's at an end, it's at an end. And the insight will come, okay? You don't have to know like immediately what happened or why it happened, and of course it's going to feel really important to understand, but really, if you're in a situation like this, it doesn't take understanding of how things happened. It just takes an understanding that something has happened, right? So yes, the mental health, guard against the anxiety, or use the coping mechanisms you've learned for your anxiety, the ones that actually work, okay? And if you're in such a depressed and lonely place, and it feels like the world is against you, I mean, you still have to find somebody to talk to, right? So you'll probably look around and find that one person one or two people were not part of that group that spit you out, or that that person that betrayed you, and you can confide in them about what happened and how you feel. If you need to get it off of your chest, getting it off of your chest is not the same thing as ruminating on it or dwelling on it, telling everybody what happened, telling everybody what you think and how you feel. Okay, this is confiding in somebody to get something off of your chest, and hopefully they can make you feel better. And if you can't find a friend to help you with that, find a therapist to help you with that. We all need a little bit of help from time to time. So, ask for it when you need it. And, at this point, you might need a little help pulling some of the knives out of your bag. Okay, and with all of that said, I'm going to go ahead and shuffle some cards while I remind myself that the sun is in Gemini. This is the third 10 days, the final 10 days of the sun in Gemini. So we might, in this final week or so of Gemini, notice an intensification, right? Of the thoughts, words, and actions energy. And, we want to try to use our powers for good in the world. And I say powers because, especially, the way we use our words is extraordinarily powerful. We can set intentions for ourselves without even knowing it. We can set, people off on courses and directions, that they would not have thought of without even knowing it, just by opening our mouth. Okay, so understand that what you say has power, right? It has the power to hurt somebody pretty badly, and you also have the power to help people, to heal people, to seek progress with people, and that's what Gemini, that's what air signs really is all about, is like connecting with people on an intellectual level, allyship, like, real friendship, people who can listen to one another and have one another's back, somebody who will stand up for you so that 10 people can't come with you with their swords. So now's the time to be building those allyships. Share what you know. Don't keep any secrets at this time, okay? Knowledge is power, and we want to share power as much as possible. Moon is a waxing gibbous in Scorpio, and waxing gibbous is a time when we are doing the work to try to culminate the goals, in time for the full moon coming up on Tuesday. Scorpio, ideal positioning for that waxing gibbous moon, because Scorpio is there to really get the job done, okay, with efficiency, but also with kindness, right? With compassion for ourselves and others. So, clear out the dead wood. Don't take extra steps. Don't stop and fart around. Just go ahead and get your stuff done, and and do that with a kindness for yourself and others. But again, keep no secrets at this time. We need to share information, right? So that we can get things done efficiently, we need to share information. On the moon side of the page today, well, I'm going to start over here on the sun side of the page, because Venus went conjunct to Uranus, goes conjunct to Uranus this afternoon at 5:57 p.m. And, Venus, our receptive quality, our attractive quality, the way we draw things toward us that we like, love, and can't get enough of, is in this pressurized situation with Uranus, who is who's way out there. Okay, Uranus is not a personal planet. It's an outer planet, which is transpersonal. It's more about community and whole groups of people, right? But Uranus was the first planet we found that was not visible to the naked eye. Okay, so we needed advanced technology for that time to find Uranus. So it sort of represents scientific advancement and getting a new perspective on things, and shaking up the way we see things, and therefore bringing change to the way that we do things, right? So, we use this piece of technology, we find an extra planet out there, we're like, oh, what more can we do, right? It makes us curious, it makes us scientific, and it makes us want to try different stuff to make progress. And so this conjunct is really like, we may find ourselves wanting to try something different sexually or romantically. We may find ourselves wanting to do something different a little bit with our finances somehow. Conjunct energy does not guarantee a positive outcome. So your attitude is important. Use your insight, right? Listen to how you feel about the things that you're approaching doing. Remember your commitments when it comes to sex and love. If you have agreements with somebody already, you want to remember those commitments. If you find yourself attracted to somebody, especially somebody who's normally outside of your template, you think you're thinking about doing something new and different, might want to take that home to your partner. And then, depending on your agreements. But also understand that any sexual or loving connections that are made under this influence probably won't last very long, because again, we're finding ourselves attracted to people and things that are normally outside our template for attraction, outside our zone of interest, okay? And then on the financial side, like good things could happen. You could have a financial bonus, or you could, you could win some money, or somebody could give you some money that you weren't expecting to get, but may have been owed, might come across to you. But also, again, this also indicates like perhaps doing something a little different with your money, like throwing caution to the wind because you want to spend money on this thing all of a sudden that you hadn't thought about before. Something shiny and new and different. And so that doesn't guarantee a positive outcome. So just, be really clear with yourself about the fact that these shakeups are present, and that we don't have to respond to them if we don't want to. Just if you find yourself feeling surprised by wanting to do something out of the ordinary, especially in your love and money lives, be conscious that those shakeups are available, but it's not necessary to go with that impulse. It's not necessary to go with that urge. It's just important to notice it and maybe ask yourself where you think it's coming from, right? This is just today and tomorrow. And then in the ongoing column, last day for Sun sextile Chiron, where we could really be open with the people in our outer lives, be a little more honest about ourselves, and what our personal goals and endeavors are, and find some support there, find some appreciation for who we are, and the fact that we're sharing. People will appreciate it, and then we can feel better about ourselves being able to share with others. We can feel a little more comfortable in our skin around other people. And then Mercury trine Pluto will be here with us for another 8 days. So this has been over a month of like really a blessing of insight, an ability to look at what's coming up from the shadow, what's coming up from the subconscious, and desiring to be expressed. And often those, betrayal comes up, or times, just times we've had that were less positive, right? Adverse experiences will come up for us, and this is a blessed time to be able to see that coming up, to think where it's coming from, and to take steps, make a plan to heal it, right? And then Pluto is retrograde, Saturn is retrograde on the inside of our lives. Our habits, our foundational ways of being, the things that we would never doubt about ourselves may be coming up under review. Okay? Pluto is just bringing beginnings and endings to foundational structures because it's in Capricorn. Saturn rules Capricorn and Aquarius. Saturn is retrograde in Aquarius, so it's looking around for new ways on the inside to approach feeling supported, feeling stable, feeling secure. And with all of that said, I'm going to go ahead. We have the King of Rods. The King of Fire, friends. A happy, joyous, determined spirit. Okay? Somebody who can think about what happens next and act almost in the same moment. There's a speed of action that comes with the King of Wands that normally is reserved, I think, for knights in tarot, but the King of Wands is really they're sharp-minded, they're quick to act, and depending on the situation, they might act out in anger, because fire embodies spirit, spark, and drive. It can also be embodied by impetuousness or angry behavior, irritability, that kind of thing, aggressiveness. Is he aggressive or is he assertive? Right? And it kind of depends on the situation, what is needed. But all of those qualities are available to the King of Rods. And the King of Rods is king in part because this person is not just in charge of a whole bunch of other people, but who follow them, but in charge of themselves, right? So when that person acts out in anger or in an assertive way that might come across as abrasive, they're doing it knowing exactly what they're doing, and they're doing it intentionally, right? So for a reason. And kings are thought to be wise. There's some wisdom and some wisdom there, some experience, some success. A great deal of success comes with being a king, and also, kings, because they're wise, they listen to good counsel, right? They listen to the people that they keep close to them, and they keep people close to them who can advise them well about what to do. Okay, so have you kept somebody close to you that you can turn to at this time of Ten of Swords betrayal? Have you kept somebody close to you? Have you cultivated, appreciation for your own wisdom and the wisdom of others, so that you can pick yourself up from a situation like this and dust yourself off and move forward and do what needs to be done to protect yourself and to protect the other people that you rely on? King of Wands doesn't mind being seen and appreciated. Fire signs, and people, whose element is largely fire. Fire signs love to be appreciated. They love to be, some would say, sort of worshipped or adored. So, the King of Wands is absolutely the kind of king that would say, "Look what I have done," so that people can go ooh and ah, right? But it's good. It's good for you. It's good for you to share what you're thinking, what you're doing, what you know, what you are passionate about with other people, and it helps them show their appreciation for you, because otherwise that doesn't get expressed either, and when the appreciation doesn't get expressed, then we don't feel accepted, right? Yes. And then we have this coming up next week: Sun square Neptune and Sun trine Saturn. King is very, fire is very Sun. It's very Aries or Mars. So just these, the focus, the attention it takes to be able to plan quickly and to move into action without a moment's hesitation, is here. So, maybe if you see this moment coming, look, he's even got his head sort of tilted forward a little bit. It's like he sees what's directly ahead, right? When we're embodying that fire energy, we have that, not just insight but foresight. We can kind of look 2 steps ahead and see what's about to happen, and that helps us be able to respond quickly, to think quickly, and to move quickly. It's not necessarily, it is thinking quickly, but it's also thinking ahead, seeing what is next, kind of before everybody else does. And if you do that, you might be able to avoid or mitigate the damage of this Ten of Swords situation. I believe that's all I have to say about it, friends. Thank you so much for joining me today. I truly appreciate your presence with me. My name is Mel Rose, and I'll see you all back here tomorrow for more Astrology Today and Tarot.